Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of What If, and I'm back here with another What If. Today I'm doing What If Deku had Darkseid's Powers Part 9, the finale. And yes, you might notice I'm using my old audio because, well, my PC has completely shut down and I'm having a bit of a Wi-Fi problem. I actually can't even use Wi-Fi, I don't know why. I might need a new phone, so for now, things will be a bit different. There will be no intro, so sorry about that as you've noticed. I usually start off with an intro, but that's not happening today, so yeah. Luckily, with the money that I get from being monetized, like on YouTube, I can buy myself like a laptop, and then I can use Premiere Pro again. But until then, well, yeah, things are gonna be like this, and I hope you won't mind. I hope you enjoy, and yeah, let's just get right into it. Now, last time we started off the series with Deku showing how monumentally oblivious he is to his own genius and creating a whole pocket universe using his intelligence, even though he found it on accident at first, he just cultivated it. So he shows this to his two teachers who come in to tell him about the dorms, and they were shocked. Then Deku was asked to come to the dorms, which Inko allowed because at this point she is certain that nothing can hurt him, so there's no point, holding her son back. And due to his recent popularity, Deku has to go to the dorms differently than everyone else. And after getting to the dorms, everyone went to show off their rooms, which revealed that when Deku is bored, he really turns into a bit of a real techno geek. Yeah. Then during the training for the exams, Deku healed All Might and brought him back to 100%. And then soon, Class 1A went to provisional license exams, and this led to Deku trapping Toga in his pocket universe or dimension, and then he easily passed the exams after having a bit of fun, of course, he's OP. Then they return to the dorms, and this is when Deku realizes that he forgot something while hanging out with Jiro at night. As Deku abruptly stands up, saying he forgot something, Jiro would ask him what he forgot, as Deku would then remember. Then he pulls out a remote, and then he takes out a remote and pushes a blue button on it. This would take him and Jiro accidentally into the pocket dimension, which was just a white space right now. And Deku would look back, saying, "Ah, oh, damn it! I should really make this thing more specific." Where are we? Asked Jiro, confused. Deku would hold her hand, calming her down, trying to explain everything, when all of a sudden he would send something and dodge. He would just dodge an attack from Toga while pulling Jiro out of the way. They would then both see a naked Toga in front of them, which would shock and anger Jiro, as she would then ask why she is here and why he acted like he knew she was here. "Izuku, how can you keep me here? That's so mean," says Toga. "Who the hell is she?" asks Jiro. Deku would then say, she's a villain? I trapped here? And then I forgot I left her here. First off, let's give her some clothes. This is just weird." He would then pluck one of his hairs out as he would throw it up, and it would turn into a onesie, and he would just throw it at her and tell her to put it on. She would refuse, of course, trying to be pervy and like kind of tease Jiro because she notices that her and Deku are like that. And this actually pisses off Jiro, which in turn pisses off Deku, who pulses with bloodlust. And seeing this would make Toga put on her onesie really quick because she knows she's about to be murked. And she would then realize that it's actually a prison uniform. "Why am I wearing this?" asked Toga. "Well, this is prison. Well, this is your jail, since normal jail cells don't hold people like you for long. So, yeah, welcome to your new home." "You made this place for villains?" asked Jiro. "No, not at first, no, but it's a good idea. Well, after I alter it, of course," says Deku. This is when Toga would jump at Jiro and hold her in a headlock, and she would slowly back away from Deku, saying, "If you don't let me go, she bleeds." As she says this is when she would just pass out and fall to the ground, as Jiro would then get free and, well, she can now finally breathe. Deku would then say, "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. It's my fault you're here." She would then say it's fine because at least she's okay, and then she asks Deku what he's gonna do with the place. Deku would then get up and yell, "Motherboard." He would then see the floor shine below him as he would touch that part of the ground, and he would do it with his right hand as the ground would just open up and a big cylinder would come out, and it is just made of a bunch of circuitry. And this cylinder would then scan Deku, who would close his eyes, and when it's done scanning him, it just plunges back into the ground, and this white space would turn into a huge, what is like a huge house just extending for miles. Since this pocket dimension is actually infinite, yeah, it looks like he's just never stopping. And this would shock Jiro as she looks and sees that everything has changed. She is so shocked that she cannot talk, and Deku shakes her back to reality out of fear that she might have gone insane. Okay, calm down. Alright? How about I give you a tour, okay? It's alright. "Yeah, sure, let's have a tour," says Jiro. She would then grab Deku's hand, and she would then follow Deku into this infinite space, and this space would literally have everything: a library, a swimming pool, and huge rooms, and like a bunch of gyms. These are of course like the holding cells for the prisoners, but they have a bit more freedom here. Deku's not trying to make them even more psycho by literally putting them in like jail cells they can't get out of. So he made this a home for villains, but they will still be carrying out their sentences, like be punished in certain ways as they live here. So all of this impressed Jiro, as when the tour was over, her and Deku came back to where Toga was, and she would ask, "This is really a prison?" Well, it's more like a getaway. At certain times I wondered if villains would just be better off somewhere else, by themselves. That way they wouldn't interact with powerless villains, and they would kind of enjoy it here to a certain degree. "You made a world for villains because you felt like it?" asked Jiro. Deku would then say, "Well, yes, but it's not a bad idea, is it? Now, about her, I'll bring her to her room." You would then carry a passed out Toga to in front of a empty like basic room, just like any other it's a, how do I explain this? The place is just like a huge corridor, and then when you walk out, you just see there's like a certain hallway you pass by, and then you find like food and everything you need. It's gonna be annoying to explain. You get what I'm trying to say. So they're in front of like just a normal door, and then the door would then pop out a little something that would scan Toga's brain, and then the door that they're about to open would the room would just shine. And when they head inside, they see Toga's perfect room, and what they saw was just pictures of Deku everywhere in a body bag, punching bags, and a bunch of weird stuff, and they just couldn't handle it, so they just left her there, left her a note saying, "Just enjoy your stay, because yeah, you're not leaving." So we cut to Deku and Jiro popping out of the pocket universe, as Jiro just cannot contain her excitement. She says that Deku should let the authorities, get in on this. Deku isn't sure about doing that yet, but he's just happy that she's happy. And then the next day would go as normal, with nothing different happening. And this would continue and continue, and soon the internships would be announced, with certain changes being mentioned. Things are gonna happen. And one specific day, Aizawa decides to go in depth about these changes. So today, some people will come to tell you about their experiences in internships. Come in, you three. The door would then open with a blonde-haired boy walking through first, and he seemed very confident. The next was a blue-haired girl, and she seemed just very peppy. And the next was a dark-haired boy with, Tomiki has dark hair, right? Yeah, black hair. He was a dark-haired boy with his head down as if he was just depressed. And as I would say, these are UA's best. This is the big three. This would impress everyone, especially Deku, because he can remember watching Mirio, the blonde-haired kid, in the last sports festivals, and he sucked at using his quirks before. But seeing how far he had come would actually impress Deku. He was like, "Yeah, you, good job, bro." Aizawa would then ask Tamaki to introduce himself first, and even though he starts off impressive, with the students thinking he's like a rabid beast with a lot of bloodlust, he just turns out to be someone who's afraid of public speaking. Then Nejire would come in and just introduce herself, as well as her shy friend, Tamaki. This would then lead to her just asking a bunch of questions without giving people time to actually answer, until she finally gets to Deku and says, "Wow, it's you! You beat that villain. How many quirks do you have?" "What do you think?" asked Deku. Nejire would then go to give a speculation, but then Mirio cuts in saying, "Okay, I think that's enough. It seems like you guys are clearly confused, so why don't we have a little fight?" says Mirio while slamming his hands together. The class would be confused, as well, him trying to make them less confused didn't actually make them less confused. How you could just pop up a fight like that? That makes no sense. Yeah, so the whole class would be confused as we cut to them in their gym uniforms at Gamma Gymnasium, and they would all be confused at the fact that they're doing this, but honestly, they don't mind seeing the best that UA has. "Are you sure this is the only way to show us that the internships are about?" asked Deku. "Wow, you don't like a challenge, Midoriya?" Tamaki, with his head up against the wall, would then say, "Mirio, there's no point in trying to fight that kid. He'll obliterate you, as much as I hate to say it." Nejire would then back that up, saying that as much as she hates to say it is true, and this would make the students angry, as they would get ready to attack, because, the whole, the way the students said it, the way that Mirio and Mirio's friend said it, it made it sound like he literally set this up just to fight Deku, and that pissed them off, that he just dragged them here just for that. So they attacked him, but as they do, his clothes just fall off, making most of them cover their eyes. But in the split second that they did, most of them just got one-shotted and just fell to the ground, and everyone else would be completely destroyed in under 5 minutes. because, well, it's Mirio. And as he beat everyone in his path, he would go for Deku, who would just casually just be waiting for him with his arms crossed. "Impressive, senpai," says Deku. "Coming from you, that means a lot, you know," says Mirio. He would then fall through the ground as he would then pop up and just hold Deku. He did this because he can't go toe to toe with him in strength, as he saw like, you know, him fighting all for one, and so he wanted to hold him, at least restrain him for now. And he did for a while until he just felt his arms being freaking forced off. And as he felt this, he just went intangible again as Deku just broke out, creating a shockwave, and Mirio would backflip and land while sliding backwards. And as he did this, he would instantly see Deku in front of him with his eyes shining red. Seeing this would scare the shit out of him, as he would just keep running, trying to avoid him, but Deku would always be following him effortlessly, just going around like he's hunting a weak little rabbit, his prey. Soon all everyone would be seeing is just like a bunch of like little blurs just running around, and it was just in the gymnasium, and soon they would stop, but as they did, Mirio was just tired. Mirio of all people was tired. With Deku following him around with that like bloodlust, it just made him so much more tired because he was so freaking scared of being caught. So Mirio would have stopped, you know, and he was tired a little bit, but as he was about to go off again, he would turn around to see Deku's fist in his face, and all he saw was death. As behind him, a huge shockwave would just be made by Deku, and it would destroy the landscape behind Mirio. By this point, all the knocked out students had gotten up, and they just had their mouths just wide open, except for Jiro and Bakugo, because they've seen Deku destroy way more and do way more. And there's a reason why they haven't gone to Ground Gamma in a while. It's because Deku destroyed it, and the heroes are covering it up. So anyway, Mirio would then just fall to the ground panting, saying, "I give up." "Yeah, I figured," says Deku. He would then give Mirio a hand, Mirio would take it, and he would get up. Deku would then tell him to put on some pants, and he would do so, being embarrassed. And in the end, Mirio would say that his phasing quirk is pretty useless, but when he uses it right, it becomes unstoppable. Of course, they get what he means, but they kind of ask him if he has like two quirks because he was running too fast, and Mirio says that, well, he wasn't, and it was just physical strength, which is hard to believe, but Mirio actually does have one for all, by the way, but he's just not using it. But if he did, he's pretty sure that Deku would have beaten him anyway. He just didn't want to show it because that's not something you should just show to everyone right away. He's waiting for the right time. But the fact that he kept up with Deku was pretty impressive because Deku, by far physically, is the strongest person ever. So, yeah. So Mirio would say that he would ask the class if he was too strong, and they would say, "Hell yeah, he is." And they would say that his quirk is too OP, but he would say, "Nah, my quirk is really shitty. And the reason why I'm so good is because I learned how to use it right." And he would tell him to like learn to anticipate and move right. Because if he didn't, well, in his case, if he didn't, he would literally probably end up cutting up his body. Which, hearing about it kind of like scares people because just by phasing through one thing, he had to worry about his life being in danger. So yeah, it also gives him a lot of respect because, well, Mirio's our boy. The man worked hard, and him talking about it just makes you want to try more because he's so strong despite having a quirk that dampens him so much sometimes. So yeah, Mirio Togata, how far you've come. Thanks, Deku. Then anyway, so this leads to everyone going back to class as they start talking about the internships way more seriously, and they need to pick a hero that will give them the best type of experience that they need. Soon school would end, and they would just think about things, and they would go to the dorms and talk with each other. And Deku was just in his room making some changes to the pocket dimension remote. Deku would then also call Gran Torino because thanks to him, he actually got control over his matter manipulation, and he wanted to work with him again for the internships, but Gran Torino was a bit busy, so he gave Deku a suggestion. "Kid, I think there might be someone else more suited to teach you, like All Might's former sidekick Nighteye." They would then talk about this a bit more as Deku goes to meet All Might in the staff room, but it turns out that he is out fighting crime. He actually guessed this, but it was actually true. "Oh right, he's fixed. I wouldn't laze around either," thinks Deku. Deku would then see the other heroes who confirm that he's actually out fighting crime right now, and he is kind of going a little crazy because it's been a while since his body has been so strong, so he is going crazy. So they would apologize for All Might not being here, and Deku would say it's fine, and all the heroes would kind of look at him weird. What's wrong? If you want me to leave, I can just leave if you want." No, it's not that, kid. Look, Izuku, do you even want to go to school anymore?" asks Midnight. Deku would be confused as Ectoplasm talks, saying, "It's pretty obvious by now that you're pretty well experienced. You're even stronger than All Might. Some people are considering making you a hero despite your age, and the citizens agree, saying that they would feel safer with you around." This would actually make Deku think, as he doesn't want to leave school because for once he actually likes his classmates and they like him. But it wouldn't be wrong to become a hero as soon as possible because it is his dream. So there's nothing wrong with him becoming a hero as soon as possible. But like, he has to leave behind all his friends. Well, has the government said anything about it? Asked Deku. Aizawa would then give him a card saying that he has a temporary hero license now, since they were discussing things still. But they think that with Deku being so strong, if he sees people being hurt, he should definitely be allowed to help. I mean, there's a powerhouse literally standing right there as a building is burning. You're just gonna let him just stand there saying, "Nah, let the professionals handle it"? Nah. So yeah, the government even knows that he healed All Might. So yeah, they really need him. Deku would be surprised as he would then thank the teachers and he would then go to meet Mirio because, well, this talk just made him remember that Mirio actually worked with Nighteye. So he wanted to, ask him if he could help him get into the agency. So he met with Mirio and they talked, and he promised to take Izuku to see Nighteye on a free day. And because he thinks that, well, Sir Nighteye and him would have good chemistry, since sometimes they're both also very, very, very scary. So yeah, we cut to a weekend and it was morning. Everyone was just like brushing their teeth and getting ready to have their free day. Deku would hurry up and just run through the dorm with super speed while having a backpack which was containing a sheet to be like signed by Nighteye. And as he runs out the main door of the dorm, he would just jump as he starts flying and he flings through the clouds trying to find Night-Eye's agency. Due to Deku's popularity, they agree that he should not come to the agency with Mirio while just walking because they will be annoyed by people. So Deku would fly and try to find the agency himself. So Deku having flown around the city a bunch of times before he even got his license, and now he can actually use this quirk whenever he wants. He actually knows every corner of it since he's also a genius and he has very good memory. So he would find the agency very fast as he would just gracefully land in front of it, and he gets ready to go in. He can't be that scary, right? Thinks Deku. This is when he would hear screams from behind as he senses a bunch of people and girls surrounding him, and he would just turn around to see everyone gathering as they had noticed them landing from the sky, obviously. "Oh, I'm sorry guys, I'm actually here to work," says Deku. The people would hear this and they would understand because, well, he's a kid and they're kind of like doing a bit much, so they would wish him good luck but still be like sharing around the agency. And this surprises Deku a bit that they're actually giving him so much support, so he bows to everyone and he would then enter the agency as we cut to Nighteye seeing the crowd outside his agency, and he sits back in his chair. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" asks Nighteye. Mirio would be standing next to Bubble Girl while scratching his head saying, "Well, sorry, but it's not like he can control it." As soon as he says this, they hear the door open slowly as they see Deku entering the room. "Oh, Mirio, good to see you," says Deku. He would then look at Bubble Girl's like a bit like revealing costume and say, "Hi, yeah." She would then say hi back while smiling as Deku introduces himself to Nighteye, but he just lays his elbows on his desk and just stays quiet. Nighteye would then ask him, "How did it feel fighting all for one?" "Oh, fun," responds Deku. This would surprise everyone because they assumed he was scared shitless, but no, he was legitimately having fun, and he doesn't seem to be lying. He has no reason to do so. Nighteye would then sigh as he kind of chuckles a bit, and he reaches his arm out with Deku shaking it. Nighteye would then thank Deku because he heard the news of All Might stopping crime way more, and he actually called him because he thought that All Might was overdoing it like on purpose, thinking that he kind of hated himself for not stopping All for One himself. But no, All Might told him that he was completely healed by Izuku Midoriya, so yeah, that's good. Deku would then say it was no big deal and he was just happy to help because, he's the number one hero. He's got to get back out there. So, I have something to show you. I'm not bragging or anything. I just think you should see this, says Deku. He would then take out his card and give it to Nighteye, and his eyes would widen. And this would make Mirio and Bubble Girl wonder what the hell he saw because nothing really surprises Nighteye. Nighteye would then give back the card as he would ask for Deku's internship sheet. He would then stamp it as Mirio and Bubble Girl would be happy for him, and Deku would say, "Thank you, sir. So how can I be of help?" "Well, considering that ID, you might as well just take Mirio with you today as a sidekick, and he can show you around how we do things here at the agency." "What do you mean psychic?" asked Bubble Girl. Deku would then give her the card and she gets shocked as she passes it to Mirio, who is also shocked. Man, this is just passing around, seriously, what the hell? So they just go to patrol and they know that Deku has a temporary hero license, so that's why it's surprising. So they go on patrol with Deku making Mirio fly with his telekinesis, and because he has such control over it, it's as if Mirio is actually flying the way he wants to. It's just like really advanced. So yeah. So they would go on patrol just like stopping crime so much without Deku knowing that he was slowly actually climbing the hero chart. Then the next day, the two are specifically walking around in a certain part of the area, the city, and they were investigating something. Apparently, a certain gang has started to rise, and they are suspected to be led by Chisaki, who is also involved with the black market, and maybe even the League of Villains. So, even though the League is obviously like honestly no more, they are still made up of like low-level villains who are trying to achieve Shigaraki's goal while he's in prison. Especially now since All For One was like done and just gone, they were happy because All For One was like a good villain, but he was an annoying leader and he literally would kill you if he didn't need you. So they liked Shigaraki more and wanted to do what he wanted to do, but that's kind of hard right now. So yeah. So as the two heroes are walking around just saying hi, Deku would just like, be just looking around. They're doing their hero work. People are keeping their distance because they don't want to be a liability. And as they're walking around, Deku would sense someone coming near them, and he told Mirio to stop as from a nearby alley, a little girl ran out, breathing heavily. Deku would catch the little girl as she trips and falls into his arms. Hey, what's wrong? She's hurt. Look, she's covered in bandages, says Mirio. Deku would then ask her to calm down, but she cannot help but just keep panicking as out from the alley come out two men wearing masks. And the man in front makes Deku quite weary, so he reads his mind. And instantly and quickly his head just gets flooded with all the torture he made Eri go through and his intentions and goals. Then he hears Chisaki say this, excuse me, sorry about my daughter, she gets carried away sometimes. Deku would slowly take off Iri's bandages, and despite her being afraid to let him do so, he does just like take them off, and when he sees what he sees, he is pissed off because he sees a bunch of scars on her. And he would just touch her arms and her wounds start to disappear as her skin just like, reforms itself. It goes back to normal. And this would shock Chisaki as he then realizes who Deku really is and he is sweating. The man behind him would then whisper, "Boss, let's just take the little girl back. We need to do more experiments." Now, of course, he whispered this to the point where no normal human could hear him, but Deku was not normal. And as he said this, he would just see Deku turn his head, staring at the two with his eyes turning red. "How dare you hurt her?" and then openly talk about it in front of me. He would then slowly start to move towards Chisaki, who would start to take his gloves off out of instinct, and Eri says, "No, don't, he'll kill you." Deku would say nothing back as he just keeps moving forward, and Chisaki as well as his assistant are just sent flying by a psychic burst, and they get knocked back into an alley, and people kind of gather around, but they also keep their distance, wondering what the hell is going on. And from the alley, they would hear screams as Deku would then come out from the alley holding up Chisaki and his assistant over his shoulder. "Don't worry, nothing to worry about, just some scumbags getting what they deserve." Everyone would then start clapping for Deku as Eri starts to cry and she just cannot believe that Chisaki got beat that easily, and she feels so happy, but she just can't help but cry as everyone kind of feels bad, but she's adorable. She feels happy, so that's good. Mirio would then tell Deku that they should quickly find Nighteye at the agency, not just on the streets. And Deku would agree, as instead of flying, he teleports him and Mirio, as well as the knocked out villains, and Eri to Nighta's office. Then Deku would throw the villains down as he brings out quirk canceling cuffs and just puts it on them. "Where did you get that?" asked Mirio. "Oh, I made it in my room, I just couldn't help myself." Also, you should probably call Nighteye," says Deku. Mirio would be like, "You made that? Okay." And he would just go to do what Deku said, as Deku comforts Eri, saying that everything is going to be fine and Chisaki can't hurt her anymore. "So I don't have to go back? I don't have to go back there?" asks Eri. Deku would then hug her as he says no, she doesn't, and she's safe now. She would then let out all her tears in the office, with Deku being there accepting all her feelings, and he cannot believe that Chisaki would put a little girl through so many things like that. Now, a few hours later, Nighteye bursts into the office looking around as he sees two handcuffed villains in the corner, and Mirio and Deku talking down to a little girl with a horn, and of course, Bubble Girl's there. What happened? Asked Nighteye. Eri would be surprised by Nighteye as she would then hide her face in Mirio's chest, and Deku would tell him to calm down as he said that he would explain everything. Because all this time while calming down Eri, he was also reading her mind, and he lets everyone know what he learned, and they're also pissed as Deku is. And they look at the villains and they think they should definitely put them in jail right now. And Deku says, actually, I have another idea. He would then bring out a remote, and as he presses a blue button on it, the villains would be warped into a white space. What the hell was that? Yells Mirio. Let me show you, says Deku. You then tap the button again as all of them go into the pocket dimension, and a few hours later they come back to the real world with Eri holding a caramel apple on a stick, and her eyes are full of glee. Bubble Girl would just be looking completely relaxed, and Mirio looks even more happy than usual, and Nighteye just has a shocked face. Midoriya, this would be a great asset to take in villains, but how did you create this? Deku would then say, is it really that big of a deal? I made it on a whim, says Deku. They would all then yell, yes it is. Deku would agree, saying, okay. And he says that his girlfriend said the same thing, so... Anyway, now knowing what Eri had been through meant that they knew what Chisaki was trying to do, because Deku also read his mind, and this info would spread to the public as everyone is made wary of the possibility of Quirk erasing bullets, and they should be more careful. Now, as this is all happening, we cut to Chisaki as he wakes up in a room looking like a quite old style Japanese little house, and he says, oh, what the hell is going on? Where am I? You then remember what happened as we flash back to when Deku threw him into the alley with his assistant, and Deku kneeled down in front of them with his eyes turning red, and he looks like a demon. So, you like experimenting, huh? Then why don't you become the testing subject for once? He will then send out a psychic burst as Chisaki's eyes turn red, and he experiences all of Eri's fears, and so does his assistant. They both experience Eri's fear, her anger, and her hopelessness. It all happened in a few seconds for everyone else, but to them, it felt like years. They even saw what Eri dreamt of all the time, of all the pain that she felt from being experimented on, all of it. This is the punishment that Deku gave them. From now on, they would always have flashes like these until they decided to stop being evil, or at least reflect on their actions. But the more they persisted and resisted against, saying that, oh, I didn't do that, I did that because I thought it was right, and it was right, the flashes would get more painful. So yeah, Chisaki would then get up and touch the door, trying to destroy with his quirk so he can escape out of wherever the hell this is, but he can't. But where are the dampeners? I don't have anything on me. He would then notice that by touching the door, it slowly opened, and he opened the door fully to see Toga pop up in front of him. Welcome to prison. Why did Izuku put you here? Asked Toga. Chisaki would ignore her walking past Toga as he sees a wide space, and a few feet away from him is basically a food court, and it seemed like somewhere to get food, obviously, and he would just turn back to see Toga up in his face again. What do you want? Where are we? Why can't I use my quirk? Answer me! Oh, this place is full of quirk dampeners, and this is a prison made for us villains, apparently, answers Toga. And where did you learn all this? Asked Chisaki. Toga would then yell out a name, and she yells Daisuke, as in front of her would appear a man wearing a black, nice suit. He was like a butler. What do you need? Asked Daisuke. Toga would then say, we have a new guy, and Daisuke, who was a parademon, would then turn around to see Chisaki as his eyes turn red, and this scares Chisaki as it reminds him of Deku. The parademon would then walk to Chisaki as he would welcome him to the Phantom Zone. The parademon would then explain that this is a space made by its master Izuku Midoriya to hold villains and keep them away from the public. The parademon also puts detail on the fact that this place is inescapable since they have no power here, and it's almost as strong as his master. The parademon is almost as strong as his master, so they literally have no hope of escaping. Chisaki has no choice but to listen to this creature because he feels like just taking even a single step in the wrong direction or talking out of turn would anger this being that looks like a vengeful god. The parademon would then say that as this place gets filled with more dangerous villains, more parademons will come here, and so yeah, they better behave and tell the newbies to do so as well. Now, by the time the tour had finished, Chisaki was brought back to his room, and Toga was in her room as the parademon would ask if there was, any further questions. If this is a prison, then what really is my punishment? Asked Chisaki. Daisuke would then look confused, saying, well, isn't it obvious? Those flashes you keep having, those are your punishment. You will keep getting them until we are sure that you have repented. Enjoy your stay. Chisaki would then be thrown into his room as he cannot help but break down, and he screams in anger as we zoom out of the Phantom Zone to see all the heroes gathered up at Nightaye's agency. Deku was in front of everyone, and even All Might was there, and they were listening to Deku present the Phantom Zone, his new prison, his idea. Deku would then say, "Originally, I made this for fun, just to train, but then I put a dangerous villain in there." Midnight would then cut in saying, "Sorry to interrupt, but you know that's kind of breaking the rules, right, Izuku?" Deku would then say, "I had no choice. She attacked during the provisional license exams." This would shock the heroes as they feel like really bad about themselves for not, setting up for things like that. Like they just let a villain waltz in. They didn't do any proper checking, no nothing. And yeah, they were mostly high rank heroes too, so they felt pretty bad. And there were people like Miruko, Ryuku, Fat Gum, the list goes on. Even Aizawa was there, Deku would then explain the Phantom Zone and how it was made because he unknowingly tapped into a different space, but using his powers and his incredible mind, he cultivated the space for his own uses. And now he proposes that they use it to hold villains that are in Tartarus and very dangerous people. "I have a question, kid," yells Miruko. Deku would then say sure as she just jumps like in front of him saying, "Are you sure this place is more secure than Tartarus? We can't just trust you like that." Deku would then snap his finger as a Parademon would appear in a butler uniform with a wolf beast kin look, like imagine whatever you want. Deku would then once again show off his parademons, saying that they're more than strong enough to handle any villains in Tartarus, and they can also use his powers, but on a bit of a low level. "Aren't you underestimating the villains a bit, kid? Just taking down that villain must have taken all your strength," says Miruko. Deku would then say, "No, not really. I'm always holding back. If my powers ever go berserk, they could legitimately destroy everything. Maybe even Earth." All the heroes would then chuckle a bit because they think this kid is over-exaggerating a bit, but then they see the look on his face and realize that he is not joking. They're not going to believe it, but they're going to take his word for it for now because, yeah, he looks like a dangerous individual. So aside from that, this would be a big conference, of course, and there's no news, like, people recording anything. This is only between heroes, and this info was not meant to be released yet. So up to this point, Deku had explained all the benefits of his prison, which was that as soon as the villains arrive, due to the event's tech and all the power he has and the parademons, they are given a room and a punishment to live with until they are considered rehabilitated. What the fuck am I saying? Sorry. So even normal cops could transfer villains to the zone with a simple button, but if someone uses the teleporter wrongfully, it will self-destruct and undo what they used the device for instantly. And they found it hard to believe, but Deku was just, he was just that smart, and he showed them that he could, how the remote works, and he showed that it could actually do what he said it could. And he also showed that he could replicate the remote that he has, to make more, so like people can use them, enforcers of law, But the deal is, since he made the device, he will have control over who gets one and how they are used. Some heroes would disagree, but honestly, Deku didn't care as they couldn't do shit. It's his stuff. Whether or not they want it doesn't matter. He can just stop all the villains in a different way. So they kind of have no choice. So the proposition was left up for debate, and the Japanese government got note of this, obviously. And this is honestly potentially the perfect prison. It's not too messed up that it will make the villains more insane, and it will help them maybe be more rehabilitated. Now they have to just fix the prison on the inside and prepare home for the villains, but also they need to be punished. So as this happens, the heroes will rally to stop the quirk erasing bullets, like their sellings, like being passed around like a drug, and they would do their best. And this of course includes Deku as well as a few students from UA. And Chisaki was gone now, so his gang was basically dismantled. People who didn't want to work with him actually already freaking dipped when they got news of him being captured, but some people who stayed because they legitimately wanted to follow that psycho got captured. So the Yakuza gang, that shit is over. Chisaki's Yakuza gang is over, but the original Yakuza came back. So Deku healed the Yakuza and he allowed him to meet Eri, and he apologized to her for leaving her to Chisaki's mercy. And out of concern for her, he asked Deku to take care of Eri. He knows that being with him will just lead to, danger, because that's how his life is, and, he proposes this instead. So on a weekend, Eri is brought to the dorms, and everyone sees her in her cute little dress, and they will surround her being super nice as Aizawa tells them about her situation, so they understand that she's been through some shit. "She might end up being my sister, says Deku, as they're just talking to her. As he says this, they're surprised as they would ask Eri if she wants to be become Deku's sister, and she says she wants to, but she's scared of being in a family because of her quirk. They understand and don't push any further as they then, introduce themselves, and then Deku takes her to meet Jiro, who was in his room playing with his guitar. As he enters, he sees her, playing, and he says, "Hey, don't mess with my strings." "Oh, sorry." "Who's this little girl?" asked Jiro. Deku would then introduce her as his potential little sister, and Jiro goes to shake Yuri's hand, but Yuri backs away scared. Deku would then ask her why she's so scared, because she's actually been doing this with everyone, and they understood, so they just kept away, but he wants to know why she's doing this. The two would then see the look on their faces. Deku kneels down, saying, "Do you want me to just read your mind? It doesn't have to be things that you don't want to show me. Just think about what you want to tell me, and you don't have to say it out loud, okay?" She would then nod as Deku touched her temple with his hand, and she would then flash an image of how her dad died. She rewinded him out of freaking, reality. She rewinded him out of history, time, whatever. And Deku understood why she was being so standoffish, so he would have an idea, but it's not something that he really likes to do. "Look, I can help you, but the method, it isn't exactly hero-like." Jiro would then ask what Deku was proposing, and he would say mind control, and she would agree that it really isn't hero-like, but if it helps Eri and if it's Deku, then, things should be fine, right? Deku would then say that it will be fine, but it depends on what Eri says, because he's not gonna, treat her like Chisaki treated her. He's gonna give her a choice. And Eri would say that she wants to stop hurting people by accident, so she agrees to it. "Okay, I'm just going to give your body a demand. It will always follow the demand, but it won't stop you from living your life, okay? Now look at me." Deku's eyes would then shine red, and so would Eri's, as if he was just being reflected onto her, and then it was done. "That's it?" asked Eri. "Well, yeah, it's not a ritual or anything, but now your quirk can do whatever you want. So I made it so your body knows how to control the power. I gave it a command to chill out, I guess you could say." So that's Deku. He would then grab a crushed can of soda as he would just give it to Eri, and she knows what he wants him to do. She then concentrates that she would actually use her quirk right, and she would glow, making the can revert back to an uncrushed can. And then she opens her eyes, and she notices that her quirk did something that she wanted it to. And she kept reverting and just rewinding it until it turned into just mere minerals. And she would be jumping up and down, so excited that she can just finally control her powers. Maybe now she can actually become part of Deku's family. So for the rest of the day, Eri actually goes around meeting everyone and showing off her awesome quirk, hugging them, saying hi, and finally not being afraid of being close to people. And so from then on, things go according to canon, except for when the festival comes. Deku and Jiro sang for everyone as a duo, and before that he did meet Labrava and Gentle, but easily destroyed them both. But before they're taken away, Deku just talks to the heroes to appease their sentences. They're not bad people, and has Gentle ever killed someone? I don't think Gentle has really killed someone, so they're not bad people. And I mean, the whole accident with the hero being hurt, I think he killed a hero, but it was by accident. So they're not bad people. They're just victim of circumstance. So he tried to make their sentences not that bad. So time skip, and of course this is the end. Soon Deku's inventions, his gadgets and everything, have spread to the corner of the world, everywhere, and he even worked with other heroes from other countries like America, Brazil, whatever. It was just awesome. France, you name it. Every hero, he is just everywhere. He works with everyone. He even meets David Shield and meets his daughter. Deku traveled the world like he was freaking Doctor Who, and even brought Jiro with him. So Doctor Who and his companions, they're just doing whatever they want, having adventures. But Deku was more than just OP. I mean, he was able to just solve everything. So they went around saving the world, helping people, and yeah, they did that instead of staying in the city. So yeah, he did this to a point where the major events that happened included him constantly, because when there was a problem around the world, when you couldn't have your big hero stop it, you called Deku. He's the man. And he always has his wife with him, Jiro, the sound hero, aka Earphone Jack. And yes, they did get married. And they became heroes together, with Deku being the most powerful being in the world now. And he was more like a freelancer than a stationary hero. Luckily, heroes like Bakugo and Mirio are more than powerful enough to just take care of their place. And Deku doesn't always have to come there. And as for the Phantom Zone, it was developed and became quite convenient for capturing very dangerous villains. Every police department had a Phantom Zone teleporter, and it was issued to all cops, and it was very convenient as Deku's thousands of parademons dealt out sentences given by judges, whether it was to act like their therapists, or punishers, or supervisors, or executioners. The parademons somehow also did all this while being graceful yet scary, so they were like the most strongest guards ever, and they would scare the crap out of you despite being so elegant. And as for Eri, by orders from Deku, the parademons that were kept to take care of Inko, because well, Eri lives with Inko now, they actually had to train her, and Inko accepted this because she didn't want to feel weak anymore. She wanted to protect her new family. She wanted to protect Inko, and this led to her becoming a hero. And soon she meets Koda, and they become partners and a little bit something more, a little closer as they grow up. So yeah. Also, Inko would of course become Iri's mom, obviously. And since Deku has riches upon riches, they move into a new house, an actual house far away from their horrible apartment. And she was always grateful for Deku doing all this, but he came around less and less, and over time, due to his duties, he was basically not there at all. So soon, when Deku did everything he wanted to, he just retired, and by the time he did that, he was 30 years old. He wasn't old or anything, and he just came back to his house and lived with his wife, his mom, his sister, and a bunch of parademons. And soon they had a kid and all that, and they spent their days just doing whatever they want. And Deku only showed up on the hero scene again when the new generation of heroes had no choice but to call him. And that is where I'm going to leave it off. Welcome to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Yes, I know I said, I wouldn't be able to post for a while, but here I am. I found a way. It is very annoying, but I hope that you like the way I'm doing videos for now. I just hope that I can buy a new laptop soon. That way I can give you guys more high quality content. And yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can always know when I'm posting. Give this video as many likes as you can. And this is the finale, so show this series some love. People have followed this since the day it came out, and they give it a lot of attention and love, and I love that this series ended the way it did. So yeah, here comes the end to another series, and I am working on What If Deku Could Edit Quirks. Okay, it's just that's also the finale for that series, since obviously I can't go into season 5 of My Hero because it's actually going really slow. So yeah, that's why I'm working on it a little bit more, and I'm at a point where I just need to. I'm at a bit of a block. I have writer's block right now, so. And with everything that's been going on, I'm pretty pissed off. I'm very unstable right now, so I'm trying to just let out these videos as best as I can. So that's why there was no intro. That's why there was no normal stuff like I usually do things now. So yeah. Take care, stay safe, and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.